Good morning Year 5 and welcome back to the Thursday of our week of dividing fractions. So yesterday you hopefully have made some fantastic posters. I look forward to seeing them. Today we're going to do some problem solving, but we're going to bring together everything we've done so far on multiplying and dividing fractions. And I thought it might be worth just reminding you about our reading vipers in school. Now there is a still of this image on the video if you keep watching, so you can zoom in a little bit. But it's just how you might use our reading vipers in a maths way to help you solve some problems. So they're not in the same order, but it might help you to work out what you need to do. So first of all, we read the question. That's about vocabulary. Do we understand all the words in the question? If not, we need to find out what they mean. So my problem is, Klaus had 240 apples. He sold half of them to Violet and a third to Sunny. How many apples did Klaus sell altogether? And how many apples did he have left? So I don't think there's any language in there that I'm not sure of. I do need to know what altogether means, and I do need to know what left means, but there's no complicated mathematical vocabulary. Then we need to identify the given information. This is exactly the same as when we're doing reading comprehensions and we're retrieving or making inferences. What information are we told? What can we work out? Well, all the information here is in the first bit. We know how many apples Klaus had, 240. We know that he's given some of them away, half of them to Violet and a third to Sunny. Then you need to think about what you need to find out. That's our explain viper. How are you going to do it? Is there more than one step? Where are we going to start? Well, because as you know, I love a bar model, I'm just going to start by drawing my bar. These are Klaus's 240 apples, okay? I'm just going to put a K there because they belong to Klaus, okay? And then we need to think about what we're going to do first. Well, we need to find out half and a third of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that Violet gets half of 240, which I know is 120. And then Sunny has a third. I think that's probably a bit more of a quarter, but about a third. So 240 divided by 3, well, make it 10 times smaller. 24 divided by 3 is 8. 240 divided by 3 is 80. So that's sort of my visual representation. That's what we're going to do. Now this one is using our predict viper, where you might approximate your answer or think about how you're going to check it at the end. And then we finish with our summarise viper. We solve the problem and make sure that we've answered it. So let's do that now. Part A says, how many apples did Klaus sell altogether? Well, he sold 120 apples to Violet and 80 apples to Sunny. So altogether, he sold 120 plus 80, so he sold 200 apples. That's part A of our problem, okay? And then part B, how many apples did he have left? Well, he started with 240. He sold 200, so he has 40 apples left. Okay, so I've done it visually there. You didn't have to do a bar model. You could have just gone straight into the abstract and done 240 divided by 2 or 240 divided by 3 and add them together. There are many, many ways to solve these problems, particularly if you've got a really good understanding, which lots of you have now, of fractions. There are lots of different ways to get the right answer. It doesn't matter if you didn't use exactly the same way as I did. Okay, let's have a look at another problem. Mr. Giles is back from Gardening Club. He's planted some seeds. He's planted 312 pansy, tulip and sunflower seeds in his garden. 2/3 of the seeds were pansies and 1/4 of them were tulips. The rest of the plants were sunflowers. How many sunflowers did he plant? Okay, so we've got 312 altogether. So I'm just going to draw it. I always like to draw when there's a two-step problem to help remember what I'm doing. You don't have to, but you might want to. 2/3 of the seeds were pansies and a quarter of them were tulips. Well, I think that's going to be much easier to do if I make those fractions have the same denominator. So I want to change 2/3 and 1/4. They're much easier to compare when they've got the same denominator. Now 3 and 4 are both factors of 12. So I'm going to make 12 my denominator, and I know that I've got to do the same to the top as I do to the bottom. So times by 4 there and times by 3 there. So 8/12 of the seeds were pansies and 3/12 of the seeds were tulips. So I could now split my bar, easier said than done, into 12 equal-ish parts. Okay, and then 8 of those were pansies. 3 of those 12ths were tulips, which means that 1/12 were sunflowers. So I know that 1/12 were sunflowers. This is where I'm going to go back to the problem, because the problem actually asks me how many sunflowers did he plant. So what I'm going to have to do now is do 312 and divide it by 12. Now that's using our division skills from a couple of weeks ago. You could use what you know here and you could work out using a different way, or you could do 312 divided by 12. If you're looking at that thinking, oh, that's a little bit frightening, I haven't done a 2-digit number before, it works exactly the same. So we're saying we've got 3 hundreds and we need to put them into 12. We can't, so we're going to put them with the tens. Remember this short division method. How many 12s go into 31? Well, we can do 2 makes 24, and then we'd have 7 left. So we've now got 72. How many 12s in 72? Well, 5 12s is 60, so 6 12s is 72. So 1/12 is 26, which means he planted 26 sunflowers. Okay, so do be careful when you have your problems. Some of them are like this. Some of them talk about the remainder. 2/3 of the seeds were pansies and a quarter of the remainder. Remember, if you do that, you're going to have to do a division. Now, they are quite tricky problems. I don't want anyone to be panicking about it at home. I would just like you to have a really good go, okay? And if you can do some of them and not the others, that's fine. Have a go and then come back tomorrow and check your answers. And hopefully you're well on your way to solving some multi-step problems involving fractions.